good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Quest episode 51. It's been a while since we've done an episode. Sometimes we need to take really long breaks. So we're back with a special guest, Cole Stanfield. And hello, Cole. Thanks for being here. So
Thanks for
Cole
inviting me.
is my brother Bobby, who we had on here like a couple episodes ago. Cole and Bobby were really good friends. And so I grew up as a little kid watching Cole and Bobby doing all this cool stuff and always wanting to hang out with them, even though I was like a little kid. But it was fun. I have fun memories of you guys and all the stuff that you did. So I'm excited to revisit all that today.
Yeah, it was a good neighborhood for sure.
It was, yeah. Ironically, Cisco moved into that neighborhood as an adult with his ex-wife. He lived in the Gonzalez's house. Do you
Okay.
remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. His ex-wife and daughter still live in that house, which is really ironic. So they
Yeah,
live
my
on.
house is actually gone now.
I know, I
Yeah.
know,
So,
I noticed that.
the jam room is gone.
That's crazy. Yeah, that jam room was that extra building outside, right?
Yeah, it was that. Well, we turned basically turned the garage. What was the garage? We did an add-on to the house and turned the garage into a jam room. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
that whole
remember that.
garage, that whole brick garage was literally just an add-on for us.
Yeah, awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's funny. One of my closest clients, uh, they lived in that house too for many years, at least
So,
5 or 6 years until they sold it, and then they tore it down like after they
Yeah.
sold
wait,
it.
what house? His house? Because he didn't
Yeah.
live on Bent Bow.
Oh wait, you lived on the corner
I lived
around.
on Darkwood, so right
Okay, got it.
around the corner from Bit. Yeah, so it was kind of
Okay.
the main. We were on what, hole 5 or something. I can't remember. So
Yeah, yeah. They were like across from the cul-de-sac.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, well, let's dig in. Cole, share with us, anything like challenges, celebrations, anything from like growing up. Like, what was your childhood like, and things that you learned from your childhood that you brought into your adult life.
And
I mean,
met
I
Bobby
think,
too.
what, say again?
And how you met Bobby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bobby, I don't know if you remember back in the day when you had to sell, I don't know what it was, chocolates or something for what we have in dad clubs, or our local sports, club, that you had to sell stuff. I think Bobby
Yeah.
was going around the neighborhood and selling something, and I met him, and he was one of the few guys that was into music, so we connected immediately. I had been hanging out with some friends of mine across the way that were playing music, and I was lucky enough to get, to learn what I wanted to do at age, 13, 12, 13. So I was lucky,
Wow.
and Bobby was right, same thing. So we just started jamming together. I think when we first started playing, he literally played on pots and pans for our, literal pots and pans.
Wow. And how old were you guys?
I think probably I'm going to say 13, 12, 13, 14, something like that. And, so we were probably, I was definitely before high school for me, so we just met each other and just had the same interests and started learning to play all those, classic rock songs that did at a young age.
Fun. Hey, and so what got you into music?
You know what? It's funny because I think about this a lot, and I say a lot, to a lot of people, that I think I was really lucky to have not only my parents, I mean, I was raised in a real kind of two cool parents. I had literally an athlete as a father and an artist as a mother. So I got discipline from the athlete side. And then I've got the art side from the, not that athletes don't have aren't artists, but, I
Yeah.
got a real nice kind of balance. And then my dad was into music usually too. So I just remember playing his 8 tracks and
Uh-huh.
learning the music from 8 tracks, if you could imagine that.
I know, that's crazy. And so your dad was a hockey player, right?
Yeah, dad played for the Houston Aeros at that time, or actually before that, but and then and so kind of that side of the family are all hockey players, and a couple of Stanley Cups and a couple of Avco Cups in the family, and so
Wow.
yeah, Yeah, it was good. I was lucky enough to be raised by two pretty amazing parents.
That's really cool. And so, did you ever play hockey yourself?
In Houston, there was a little like Pee Wee. We had to go all the way out to let's see, it was Sharpstown Mall, I think.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you had to go all the way out there. So that didn't last very long when the parents realized you got to drive at 5 a.m. You got to drive 45 minutes to get anywhere. So,
Yeah.
but a few years, and then I ended up being a swimmer anyway. So so
Yeah,
You
that's
swam
right.
for Eisenhower?
yeah. Bobby and I both swam for Eisenhower.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, do you still swim?
Sometimes, not a
Yeah, I
lot.
try to.
I
I
do.
try to. I've been off for a couple of months, but I'll get back in the pool the next few days. So
Yeah.
Nice. All right. And then you had a you have or had a little brother, Shane, right?
yeah.
And
He say that
how much
again.
how much younger was he?
He was 2 years younger than me, and unfortunately was diagnosed with rectal colon cancer and passed away. Gosh, how long ago it was, but goes so quickly. That
Yeah.
was he was living in New York City, so he was living an awesome life in New York City. Got a chance to visit him and got a chance to spend quite a bit of time in the end there, and he had a good 3 years of fighting it, and good solid 3 years of good life lessons and
Mhm.
stories and all kinds of stuff. So
Oh, and were you guys close?
yeah, I mean, especially towards, I mean, he actually came back to Austin for a while to work for a television station here in Austin. And so we got a chance to reconnect for a few years here in Austin before he was diagnosed. And um which was really a blessing, to be able to have that time with him and stuff like that before, everything happened. And then he got a good job in New York City and moved back to New York City and living the dream. And
Oh,
yeah, no, he loved New York. He was definitely a New York kind of guy for sure.
oh wow. Well, I'm glad he got to, live part of his dream before, it was his time, but sounds like he had a
Yeah,
good
no,
life.
absolutely. I mean, he was a kind soul that cut short for sure.
Yeah. Mm. Okay, and so Cisco, you have any questions for I know I'm taking over.
Oh, no, no, go ahead, go ahead. Like it'll come to me. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
I'm curious how you ended up, like what was the journey that ended you up in Austin? Or you ended
So
up.
for me, Austin kind of, especially being a musician, Austin always kind of called my name even back in the day. And um, for me, Houston kind of started kind of closing in on a certain style of music, kind of essentially. And I was really turned on by the sound that Austin had and just the kind of commitment that Austin had to the musicians and the lifestyle that, kind of just there was a lot that Austin had to offer to kind of help the musicians along the way, and still do. They do a lot of stuff that is medical insurance and stuff like that if you're a full-time musician and stuff like that. But for me, it was just the simple, musicians on a street corner. And I
Yeah.
knew that for my life, music was a big part of it. And I'm still in the industry. I'm still playing and still in the industry from a business standpoint. So it was definitely the right move. I mean, I miss my folks and Bobby and all them back in.
Mhm,
Matter of fact, I come to Austin or to Houston quite a bit to hang out with those guys.
mhm.
But Austin is definitely was my soul was called to
Yeah,
Austin for sure.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's a great town, and it's just a lively town is a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so are you in a band? I know I saw you playing like maybe 10 years ago
So,
somewhere.
yeah, that it's funny you say that because I know that this thing's kind of about life struggles and stuff.
Hmm.
And for me, at age 14, my identity was being a musician, and came to Austin, and it was what I was there for. And then after a few years of playing in bands here and stuff like that, I got out of a band. The band didn't start playing as much, and lost my identity for sure. I mean, it was a crisis for a while. And you know, for me, it was I think for me finding my way back to music and back to kind of the soul fulfilling, you know, thing that music gives you. It just took me a second to realize, oh my gosh, it's still there. I just need to keep it going. My mom said to me years ago, you know, when I was struggling, that basically what do you want to call yourself? And if you want to call yourself a musician, all you got to do is make music and put it out there. And so I've kind of been doing that ever since. I actually do a yearly album. So in the month of February, I partake in a thing called RPM Challenge, and it is to write, record, and finish an album in 28 days of February.
Wow, that's
Wow.
awesome.
So I've been doing that for going on 9, 10 years.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yes, it really, and ironically, my brother turned me on to it in New York. He said, I
Uh-huh.
have a friend of mine who's doing this thing. You might be really interested. And I latched onto that really quick. And then, you know, I mean, at the end of your life, you're going to have an album for every year. That's a lot to say.
Oh, wow.
And you just
Yes,
get to be, you know, yourself and be creative and create new sounds and
a
you know,
hundred
make it
percent. And
happen.
no, for sure. And the thing that you know, for all the musicians out there, or I mean, artists in general, right? Your own critic is the hardest thing to get past. And so what, you know, the nice thing about this RPM challenge for me was that it gave me the permission to not be perfect, because I knew that in the month of February I only had 28 days, and maybe it's not the perfect mix, maybe it's not the perfect take, maybe it's not the perfect song, but you just blast it out there and let it go, and see where it takes you. And it takes a lot of rides and a lot of different stories, and permission to do a lot of different styles. And so it's the freedom that you get from it's really, you know, really nice.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I love challenges like that because it definitely motivates you, and you're gearing up for February thinking, okay, this is February. I have this amount of time. I'm gonna, really just like draw those creative juices out wherever I can, and know that whatever I create is as perfect as it can be. And
Yeah.
you're not doing it for anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the key, you know, for any artist or any musician or any creative in general, is just to kind of just to throw stuff out there in the universe. And, you know, it doesn't matter if it sticks. You know, it's soul cleansing, and it's, you know, it's somehow it's your own therapy, you know, is the
Yeah.
way I look at it, you know, anything
Yeah.
creative like that, whether you're a painter, whether you're a musician or whatever, it's your own meditation. It's your own version of therapy.
Yeah, I agree. That's really good. So you've been doing that for 10. Okay, so when I saw you, gosh, that had to be like 2006, maybe. That was a long time ago. I saw
Amazing.
I met up with Bobby because he was there watching your band play. So
That
what
was
band was that?
probably, that might have been the band that I was in Austin. And maybe was it in Austin or was it in
It was in
Houston?
Austin. It was in Austin.
Okay, so it's probably, yeah, it's probably one of my bands, yeah, here in Austin. Yeah, one of my several bands here in Austin.
Okay, wow. I can't
Yeah, so
remember.
I mean, I still play, and I still you know, matter of fact, I don't know if you knew that, but we had a big reunion of my bands, and my Houston band had a big reunion a while ago. But so I still, but you know, that putting product out keeps your identity, you know, going. I mean, I think that's the hardest thing, is any point in your life where you lose your identity is a tough to take.
Yeah. So how long were you in that phase of life where you felt like you lost your identity?
I think, you know, for me, it was a transition period when, you know, both of my band, all three of my bands actually had, you know, basically kind of just, you know, one went off, got signed to Capitol Records. One went off and was, you know, his old band. One was in a famous band to begin with, and he took off and started playing with his band again. And just, you know, everything just kind of dies out, and you're stuck there going, okay, I'm a singer songwriter, so I can do stuff by myself. But the motivation to do that, and the drive to do that, a lot of times is dependent, or a lot of times is driven also by other, you know, the people that you have to show up for, and the people that you have to, or you want to, you know, be in the go with. So I think when I was just sitting down by myself and strumming an acoustic guitar, I loved it, but you didn't quite have the same motivation to keep it going, and stuff like that. So I mean, it was a couple of years, 2 or 3 years before I really I was still doing stuff, but really kind of just figured out how to get that identity back. And part of that was this RPM challenge. I mean, it was definitely, it was something that only was 28 days of pure commitment, like, and there was no excuses in a sense. You just, you
Yeah.
just go, you just have to do it, and you just put your mind to it, and, you know,
Yeah.
just for sure.
RPM, what does that stand for? Uh,
RPM
RPM?
challenge. It's funny. I don't know if I don't know what it stands for. That's funny. I've been doing it for that many years, and I don't know if it stands for anything, or if it's, I mean, other than RPMs, like a record.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
RPM,
yeah.
yeah, like revving up,
It's
but
funny. I'll have to look that up.
I know, it's funny because I was thinking,
That's what it's actually for, because I'm sure there's a few other players out there.
yeah,
yeah,
I
there
can
might be
remember the
Yeah,
acronym for it.
yeah.
Awesome. So that's coming up. Okay, so questions that are popping up in my head. Well, I know you have a son. Are you married?
So divorced,
Okay.
but I'm still good friends with Jake's mom, Julie. You probably, I don't know if you ever met Julie, but I was dating her in Houston all the way through, and then when I moved to Austin, she moved to Austin as well, and still good friends, and just, it developed into a great friendship, and luckily we are, I mean, being honest with each other and just telling, your own life struggle, talk about life struggles. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has. We met so young. We met at 18, 19 years old. So we've been friends for that long, and and we're married for, we were together for 10 years, and we were married for 10 years, and now we've been separated for 10 years. Still talk to each other, so it's a
That's
lifelong
awesome.
relationship for sure, regardless.
That's great. And how old is your son now?
He is 22 and
Oh
off on
my,
his own. I know, isn't that crazy?
I was just thinking, because I was trying to fill Cisco in and things that I knew about you, and I was like, I know he has a son. I was just thinking of the posts that you put with him where you were like making fun of the awkwardness of him being a teenager and not wanting to be around his parents or something. Like that must have been a long time ago.
Hashtag teen selfies.
Yes, yeah. So that was so many years ago, and I thought it was just like, oh, I think it was like last year.
Yeah, no, he's doing great. He's I mean, he has his own struggles too, but we all do, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Especially at 22. He's
Yeah,
just working
22.
his tail off, and doing what he can. But I mean, the fact that he can do it here in Austin, it's crazy. It's a good life.
Yay, good. All right, Cisco, you have questions that have popped up as he's been talking?
Yeah, as a musician, like man, it sounds like you played with a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, played with a lot of people, and met a lot of people. I'm actually in the industry as well, so met lots and lots of musicians and people,
and
and
like during South by Southwest, like, are you connected? Like, are you like, you know, networking and playing at bars too with everybody? Like,
yeah, I mean,
how's that?
in years past, a little bit, but now I'm just on the backside behind the computers. But just book. We actually, what we do is we rent bands gear that aren't bringing their own. So if they're not bringing their own drum set, they're not bringing their own organs, they're not bringing their own pianos, they're not bringing their own. They're probably bringing their guitar, but they're probably not bringing their amp if they're coming in for South by. So
Okay.
we rent the gear to them, and we have a whole warehouse of instruments and technicians that go out and provide it for them, and basically are their technicians for the day, and then load it up at the end of the night, bring it back to the warehouse, get it ready for the next day, especially during South by.
Yeah, and that's a 2 week fest. So like, I mean,
Yeah,
y'all
it's
must be slammed.
it's a week for the music, but then the week prior is
Yeah.
film and all kinds of other stuff, but that's all entertainment as well. So it's
Yeah.
just
And y'all are doing all that too. Like, y'all are involved with the film part, with renting out sound equipment with them too, and then
yeah.
then it's on with the instruments for the week of the music.
No, absolutely. It's what we call 2 weeks of chaos.
Well, that's a great business to be involved in Austin.
Yeah, I was the same thing, man. My life's been really lucky. I was got here, and actually, ironically, Shane was working with a guy who introduced me to, and just started doing sound at Shady Grove, a local restaurant here, and
Yeah.
just worked my way up in the company, and now I'm the general manager. So
Yeah.
so cool. And
I've been there.
how,
Talk about commitment. I've been there probably almost 30 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
it's a long time.
Does it seem like 30 years?
No, it doesn't. But you know, when you get to, you know, as your life goes on, you still feel like you're 22. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm confused sometimes when I'm talking to a 22-year-old and I think, oh my gosh, I am so much older than you. And I am.
yeah. Well, if you can carry on a conversation, that means they're an old soul 22-year-old.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've met a lot of old souls that are in their 20s that we've
Yeah.
actually
No,
interviewed.
I mean, all my life I've been lucky. I've met a lot of old souls. I have a friend of mine who I met in college, who is from South America, and we actually did a trip to Machu Picchu, and
Ooh,
we did the whole Inca Trail walk and all that stuff at Machu Picchu. And he was
nice,
definitely an old soul and a lot to learn from. He's a great guy. He actually lives there in Houston. So
nice. That's a trip on my bucket list.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
Mine,
one too.
mine
It's
too.
definitely spiritual for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
love it. And so I was going to ask you, so how has your music changed from espionage with Bobby to now? Like, how has it progressed, grown, transformed?
I think I think that as you grow as an individual and as a musician, you kind of you learn your craft. So what you do is well, you have a lot more to say for sure. I mean, your life lessons and just, you know, stories and whatever, you know, but you know, I would say paying attention. You know, I mean, you know, more than anything is learning to, you know, what, not just saying, hey, I like this song, but I want to write something like it, but saying I want to say something. I need to get something off my, you know, off my chest. I need to, you know, like I said, the therapy of music. So learning to use that in a positive way and say something that's important to you, and hopefully it rings true with a lot of other people.
Yeah. I Yeah, Cisco and I talk about how, like, when we were kids, we would listen to music and not really pay attention to the words. And now we listen to the songs and now we're like, wow, that song was deep. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you listen to some of them, you go,
I know.
yeah, that's really deep, is it? But
Oh,
who knows what they meant, right?
I know. You know what's funny is Bobby used to always make fun of me, because I like The Cure, and I would always ask him to play the Cure songs on the guitar, and he would be like, "Oh God, why do you like that music?" Whatever. And then I would say maybe 10 or 15 years ago, he said, "You know what, Sharon? I was thinking about it, and The Cure is actually not that bad. They write their own songs and play their own music,
For sure. Yeah.
and like
That's
these days, it's not like that."
no, that's the funny thing about, you know, especially us. We were I mean, when you get into it that young, you know, you're influenced by the people that you listen to and
Yeah,
everybody around you. And we were definitely, you know, into a certain style and a certain, even that
genre.
era, right, was into a
Yeah.
certain style. So and that part of the reason I moved to Austin was I just wanted to break away from that a little bit too.
yeah. So I would say you guys were like kind of like metal back then.
Yeah, we for sure were. It was, I mean, we were we were definitely learning all the, you know, if we were actually, we did a lot of our original stuff, which was really, I mean, for a young band, that was pretty amazing at our, I mean, we immediately were
Yeah.
writing our own song, so that was pretty good for us. But but what we were listening to was definitely the taste of the month or whatever it was, you know. And
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it was the hair metal for sure.
Yeah.
For at least a few years.
Uh-huh. And okay, I'm sorry. As you talk, like questions pop up. So
That's
um
fine.
and so like okay, so first of all, well, how can we oh no, this is the question. I'm sorry. I know you were doing like some kind of YouTube video where you and Bobby went back to, your old homes, like I know you and Bobby went up to Bent Bow and went into the house with
For sure. Yeah, yeah.
what's her name? What's her name, Cisco, that lives in our house?
Norma.
Norma, yeah. Um, and then you
Oh,
made
you
like
were
a really,
there? He was there when Bobby went?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
they made a video about that. So are you still making those videos?
It's funny because that we were trying to do a whole series of getting that band back together, and we had a couple rehearsals, but it just kind of fell through. But as a result, Bobby, myself, and Jeff Stores, which is the bass player, have been jamming a bit. And when I come back to Houston, we've been sitting down and learning some songs and I mean, reliving the old stuff. So even though that series or that idea didn't come to fruition, who knows? It certainly could be. Maybe we could continue with the three of us, but the other guitar player and the other two guitar players just weren't able to, make the time and commit to it. So it kind of fell through. And but as a result, I mean, the three of us are still getting together, and we talk as much as we play, but that's okay. That's good. We tell our old stories.
Oh, that's so fun. I want to sit in on that one day.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Matter of fact, I just got back a few weeks ago, and we tried out Bobby's new jam room for the first time. His room that he's converted.
Yeah, I just saw that over Christmas. So cool.
Yeah,
it's very cool. I mean, when I was a kid, I just wanted to be around y'all all the time because I just thought it was so. I was always like the little girl that wanted to hang out with the older, like, boys, because you guys are always talking about, even when I was with my cousins, like, it's like older boys were always talking about funny stuff, like laughing and like messing with each other. And like girls, it was just like, it was just boring. So I always wanted to hang out with you guys. I know we talked about the whole golf cart episode and Bobby.
Yeah,
you didn't know Sherry Berg and I took your golf cart.
Yeah, and also we had that, whatever that other thing was too, that bicycle thing. I don't know if you remember that one, but the big wide bicycle like pedal cart that we had that just got absolutely destroyed. That was
yeah, I do remember that. And I remember like unicycles were big around then too.
I haven't ridden one in a while, but I could still get up on one.
Yeah, funny. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like Sherry and I just remember we would always want to go torment y'all or follow y'all around. And Bobby would get so mad at me one time he punched me in the arm, and it feels good to be friends now.
Yeah, that's the thing about when you're young. And I mean, my brother and I fought so much. I mean, we got into it like bloody noses and everything. And but as you get older, you realize how important that relationship is. And like I said, we had a chance to really reconnect, and I miss him dearly. But my uncle told me one time, he goes, because my on my father's side, his youngest brother, he's a family of seven. So the youngest one of that family passed away in a car accident when they were young too. And when Shane passed away, my uncle told me, he goes, yeah, I just think of my youngest brother as being over in Europe playing hockey, and I just don't talk to him every day. And so that kind of helps me. I think he's, somewhere. I just haven't talked. He's in New York. He's off doing his jobs, and so
that's a great way to think of it.
It is,
It probably is.
And also I think I'm a true believer, and he comes to talk to me in dreams and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's a big thing that helps people heal when loved ones pass away is knowing that you can still talk to them and that they are still there in a way. Because I've come across people in my coaching business that don't believe that the soul goes on, and when somebody's about to pass, and they think that person is just going to be gone, like there's nothing. And I think, gosh, how can they heal from in that way when you think of a soul just being gone and you can't talk to them at all? I can't even imagine the grief.
I mean, talking to the universe is an easy thing, and I think they all hear it.
Yes, definitely. I love it. So, Cisco, you have any other questions?
Yes, I do. Since you said you've been in Austin, what, 30 years now, just about?
Yeah, I moved here in '96.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. A question, you mentioned earlier, music actually takes everyone's soul. Like there's some lyrics or songs or beats. And I'm sure you've seen so many shows in Austin. and my question is like, what is one of the greatest performance of whoever the band was, the artist? Like, what do you think? Like, just when you were just super mesmerized by this group, like, I know there has to be one band out there that caught you like that. You're like,
What's funny is when you're, and I'm sure you guys understand this too, when you're in the industry after so long, that all the shows blend together, they're all just, just show after show after show. The thing there's a few things that stand out to me, and that is the personality of the talent. So the for me, some of the shows, and not necessarily the show, but the people, there's two people that literally blew my mind,
who was
and
that?
that was Dolly Parton
What, dude?
and Wayne Newton.
Oh my God.
And
Oh,
and I tell you why, because they have been in the industry and they've done so many shows throughout their entire lifetime. They took the time to literally stop and thank everybody in that venue on the way. Like literally, they would come in for sound check or come in before the show. Dolly would just stand there next to you, ready to go on, and she'd just have a conversation with you, or she'd say, "Thank you so much for,
Wow.
for doing this. I know what you guys do, and I know how hard you work." And Wayne Newton, same way. She literally shook every dirty hand that had been there all day working on setting up his show, and thanked everybody. And to me, that was incredible, just to know that those people that have been around that long still have that soul in them was pretty incredible. That was impressive.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot of gratitude within those people.
it
Like
is. And
they're
to
grateful.
have that after, I mean, especially with the time they've been, I mean, because I can tell you, not all artists do that, and not all artists are as kind as that. Everybody has their bad days, but
Yeah.
yeah, that to have that kind of that wherewithal to be able to know that that's important to people and how much that means to people is just incredible.
Yeah, and it makes me think that those kind of musicians that still have gratitude and make sure they go, use that extra time to thank people are the ones that are most successful when it comes to like being happy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's the key, right? I mean, if you can only make yourself happy, so you have to,
Yeah.
you can't depend on anybody but yourself, and keeping a nice balance in your life, and a nice, I don't know if you want to call it work-life balance, or nice good hobbies, or I mean, finding ways to really enjoy your life, is important. I mean,
Yeah.
Shane told me, towards the end, he said, "You'll never know how much, how lucky, how much you appreciate a day,
Mm.
when you until something like this happens to you, and we all, taking care of your health and making sure you're, just paying attention to how you feel and stuff like that. That's, be mindful, I mean, that you hear that all the time, being
Yeah.
mindful of every day and every moment that you're there is a way to happiness, I think.
Yes, definitely. So that brings us to like, so besides, what is something that you feel like you have to do every day to help yourself stay balanced?
Um, I find that it's not every day. I find that my life, can go out of balance for months, or go out of balance for years, or whatever it is. And obviously it's in increments, but I find that always kind of coming back to what your identity or your balance is. So coming back to that and realizing that, hey, I'm off I've been
Yeah.
off the track for a long time. I got to get back on the balance beam, and I got to get back up in this, and knowing those things that you identify with as your kind of your kind of part of your soul,
Yeah.
that centerness is realizing, hey, I know I've been off the rails for a while, or I know I've been left or right or whatever it is, but all I got to do is take a day to come back and start trying again. Somebody, I heard this the other day, I thought was good, which was, basically it said, how long, because of January and every new habits and stuff, like I said, how long does it take to make something a habit? And everybody says 5 days or whatever. And the answer this guy gave was, it takes a lifetime. Because the thing is that you're always going to go away from it. But if you spend a lifetime coming back to it, no matter what it is, at the end, you're going to say, okay, that is my identity. That is where I'm my balance. I find my balance, or that is where the kind of where I find myself to be whole in some sense.
Yeah, that's so true. But yeah, there's always an amount of time that certain people will say it takes to make a habit, but you're right. It's not a habit unless you're able to keep coming back to it.
But yeah, I mean,
And
and it doesn't matter if it takes you a lifetime to keep coming back to it. I mean, I don't,
yeah.
it could be anything, I mean, I'm a swimmer, I consider part of my identity to be a swimmer. And I've gone a year without swimming, or I've gone, 6 months without swimming, or, but as long as I keep coming back, I can, or even music,
Yeah.
coming back to it is key to keeping that balance, I think.
Yeah. That's great. Love it. Wow, this has been great, Cole. Thank you. Is there well, where can we find your music?
Yeah.
All the albums are on my Bandcamp. So it's colestanfield.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
And in fact, you can go all the way back to Espionage.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. You can go all the way back to high school.
All right, Bandcamp. All right.
Yeah.
I'll put that link.
Bandcamp's a good site. The only disadvantage is you can't put it right on your iPhone. You can put it into iTunes, but you can't put it right on your iPhone. You can't just buy it. And then I obviously have a few albums out on, and distribution. So Apple Music and all that stuff. So
Okay.
I've got, I think, 2 or 3 albums out there. So yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for giving us this time to get to know you and your journey.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I come to Austin every now and then. Maybe we can all sit down and link up,
Anytime, for sure.
Great.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks so much, Cole. Have a good night.
You too.